Okay.
What's down?
The internet cut out, so
The stream.
The stream collapsed. Why did it collapse?
it said something about the internet. The signal drops.
Are we wired? Are we plugged in and wireless?
We're plugged in wire.
Huh?
Plugged in wire.
Okay, we plugged in wired. Do we also do wireless too? Just combine. You turn the wireless on.
Okay.
Just 1 second, y'all. Are we back up yet? Let me know if we're back up. Yeah, it's some weird commercial.
It's back up.
Okay.
It's back up.
All right. Let's get back to it. All right. Hopefully you guys have rejoined us. How you get back to? Okay. There you go. Okay. Cool. All right. I can see myself. That's weird. See myself. I just, my child's gonna be around for a long time looking at me going, Dad, really? Anyway, that's what my daughter would say to me. Really? Dad, that's what we're doing, huh? All right, where were we at? Okay, let's go to culture and value alignment.
Culture and value alignment. As Maya hired more helpers, she realized it was important they all understood why her cupcakes were special.
Oh my God, this is so important. Go ahead.
She taught everyone the importance of kindness, teamwork, and baking with love. Sharing these values made sure every cupcake and customer experience felt truly special, no matter who made the cupcakes.
Mm-hmm.
She taught everyone the I think it's kind of repeating itself.
Yeah, go ahead and just read it.
Real world connections. Nike makes sure all employees share values like determination, teamwork, and never giving up.
So, part of standardization and making your business be scalable, and as you grow more and more people, if you don't get this cultural thing right and the purpose of your business right, if your purpose is distorted, more people will cause fracturing of your business because other people will project their purposes onto your business, and before you know, your business is running in ways that says that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Like different branches will start to vary off and create their own version of the business, right? As well as individual egos and personalities will start to impact the business. You have to become you almost have to preach. This is what we stand for. This is why we do it. This is how we do things. And by you preaching that, you allow the innovation of, because at some point, you're not going to be at the helm controlling all these people if you scale. So the way you control the person who's the 100th person that you won't even know their name. If you walk in the office, they walk to like, I work for you, be like, oh, what department you work in? Because you don't know what the fuck they are, right? The way you control that 100th person from doing things that would jeopardize your business is the culture is stronger. It's the strongest thing in that space. That's that Bill Belichick thing. He's talking about how Bill Belichick has these things, these notes that he would run over and over and over and over. This is our culture. This is what we stand for. To the point that it becomes so strong that the senior team will then push it on the new team. And the new team then becomes indoctrinated to the point that when the next level team comes in, they indoctrinate the team after them, right? So culture is the heart of making your brand promise real. Without culture, and without saying this is why we do what we do, and in order for us to get the culture, to actually gain access to culture, we have to be very clear on what is our purpose. If you don't have focus, and I'm gonna get into this stuff in the next upcoming class, but if you're not clear about what is your purpose, and you get caught up in the elements of your business, which is the way people are showing up to you and your experiences and what's making you money, you yourself may be sending cross messages that's creating a cultural fracture. A cultural fracture is everything you do, not only do you preach it, but everything you design reinforces it, right? So you can't say, we care about customers, but then have AI answer phones and you don't respond to emails for like 4 days. Like you can't do that, right? You can't say we guarantee quality, but there's no person that's testing quality coming from China. Like, what are you doing? Right? There's certain things that you got to realize that everything you do, even when a customer calls and the way the person's talking to the customer is reinforcing your brand promise. If that's not very clear on what is your culture and what is the value of that, I promise you, every time a different person in your company has a touch point with a customer, they will fuck up your brand because they're gonna be trying to display professionalism. But remember, the diversity of professionalism is all over the place. So I got 20 different people who are sales or customer service or the specialists or phone support or the service person, whatever it is. All of them are preaching different messages. They're preaching different messages. Matter of fact, I can give you an example. You can have a salesperson who usually spends the most time talking to a customer, right? And they start talking about their personal life and the shit they've been going through and some of the stuff they dislike. They are not reinforcing your internal culture. They don't even know that's a problem. But you know why they don't know it's a problem? Because your internal culture is too weak. Where if the person, for example, you've been in the companies who have a very strong culture, and you've been engaged with businesses that have a very strong culture, the person who's talking to you is reinforcing that culture. Oh, the reason I work here at Apple is because here at Apple, we believe in. You're like, oh shit, they serious about this shit, right? They walk around proud and they just reinforce. Even they'll create their own interpretation of the brand, but it's so close to alignment that it's just expanding and making the brand even richer, right? And even management can extract from that and go, okay, we're going to use that for our next campaign. But what happens is when the culture is weak, then people are taking that space of uncertainty and just making shit up. And at some point, you'll hear people just thinking about sales or my paycheck over the culture, or me over the culture, the disease of me. The way you get me, the way you suppress the me of all your staff as it grows, is culture has to say us over you. If you is too strong, then you don't have a brand. If all your employees are running around talking about it's all about me, it's all about me, you scale that shit, you're out the game. They'll kill you off so fast because at the end of the day, that's just how it shows up. All right, next one. Oh, did we finish that one?
Yes.
Okay, next slide.
Leverage and delegation.
This is one. Oh my God, this is the one that people struggle with the most. I promise you, this is the hardest one. Go ahead.
Maya quickly saw she couldn't handle every single thing herself. She trusted her friends to handle baking and selling, while she focused on planning new flavors and bigger events. By delegating, she was able to grow her business without burning out.
Mm-hmm.
Real-world connections. Disney grew because Walt Disney learned to trust talented people to manage the parks, movies, and products while he stayed focused on big creative ideas.
I promise you this. So a lot of times, you know why many people can't scale as far as the system is because they say to themselves, well, nobody will do this as well as I can. Nobody will take this as serious as I take it. That's a cultural problem. When you design the right culture, the person in that position will even sometimes hold it more important than you can hold it yourself. You have to disconnect. You have to delegate. If you grow a business where you're still at the center of every decision being made, you will psychologically kill yourself. Like, you have to put the right people in this is why you can't hire down. You have to hire up at some point, because you need people that can say, hey, I know if a call comes in and a client comes in the door, Mashama negotiated a $3 million deal. I didn't hear about the deal until it was almost done, right? I didn't have a nightmare because Mashama is strong enough and he has just as much ownership as I do, right? Danielle now interacted with a big city contract and a county contract. I went to sleep because she handled it as if I was sitting in the same room, right? Now, why is it important that I break away? Because the business has a different challenge as a whole. The business is like an entity of its own. The people in your business could be doing a wonderful job based upon the culture, but if the business is not constantly being reinvented every year, or people are not looking for opportunities for things that change are getting calibrated every year, then what will happen is the business can run efficiently downward. Like you can have a highly efficient business with hard ass workers, and your numbers say you're dying or you're losing competition, you're losing market share. What you need somebody who's managing that system, the whole system as a whole. But when you're at the point where everybody's hitting you for decisions, and sometimes it's ego too, it's the me syndrome. I just love being a center where everything that happens in this company, I still need to know what's happening, and everything goes through me. And if you do that, you don't realize how you're not only crippling the growth of your staff, but because it's just a single point of decision making, you made your business weak. I don't give a fuck if you have a PhD from Harvard. A single decision maker makes a business weak. You have to be in a situation where you grow decision makers within your company that can carry the same weight, with the same emotion, same passion that you share. If you don't have them, practice firing motherfuckers. I know I know, but quiet as it's kept. One of the hardest things for a lot of companies that destroys us in the competitive game is some of us we can't cut bad players. We want to keep every player playing. You can't, if you're not good, you can't play. It's just that simple. Because at the end of the day, I must compete. And so in order for you to compete, I need you as a center not to look at me when the ball touches your hand. You know what you're supposed to do. Team captain, you know what you're supposed to do. But I need to watch the game as a whole and realize, hey, even though we're scoring, we're not well positioned in this game. Go ahead.
How are you applying this to business that's based on freelance work? Because none of this structure is there.
Freelance work, what do you mean? Because freelance work a lot of times is not business. It's just, you're just self-employed. You haven't got your business level yet. So this is something you will get into once you decide to scale it, right? So once you scale, because freelance worker, you're doing everything yourself. It's all about you. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of these rules, scaling hasn't happened yet. But once, going back to the original part of this cupcake, she was a freelancer when she first started selling the cupcakes, right? But once the orders increased and she realized, I can't serve all these cupcakes, it's really easy for you then to start to grow labor people who are running tasks, but you're still at the center of the business. You got to get out of the center of the business. And at the point that the business damn near doesn't even need you. And like, for example, when you show up, you're like, hey, we're doing this all wrong. We're slightly off here. We all calibrated this here. Like I had a meeting this Monday. Scott was there. And I realized, we're becoming too truth bound. I said, what do you mean we're becoming too truth bound? I said, people, let me ask you guys a question, team. And I won't get into the whole discussion. I said, what? I said, what has more power, stories or truth? She said, stories. I said, yeah, so then that means that we're in the myth-making business. We're myth makers. We're not truth makers. So a lot of times, why is that different? If I said to you, hey, as a black man, that's a myth. It's a myth. It's a story you believe in. But that story keeps us jailed, collaborate, and it's something we can use to scale our culture. Here's where truth makers come in. Well, you know, I'm black, but I'm kind of mixed. I looked at my gene analogy and most myths are not absolutely true, but they teach you a deeper truth. And a deeper truth humans use for our survival. So a lot of times when people have a story, we use these stories a lot of times. For example, at one point when World War II was over, most Americans were like, okay, we cool. I'm going back home, be with my family, back on the farm. I'm good. America said, nah, we can't do that shit. We need consumerism to compete with the world. So then they created these myths of, if you want to feel valuable, if you want to feel free, if you want to be seen, drive a Cadillac. These are myths. These are not real stories. These are not true. These are just stories they made up. And all of a sudden, that created consumerism. So now you look at African Americans where we dripping in jewelry and clothes, whatever. We're victims of mythology. Right? So the reality is that, and you don't get people to move based upon truth. Let a group of scientists speak to the public and watch people like, wrap it up. But then let a rapper or let an entertainer, let an actress or actor or a movie be written and we lock in. So we're in a myth-making business, not the truth business. So a lot of times when you're arguing with a customer, you got to figure what myth are they operating within, and how do we enhance that myth, not bring them the absolute truth. Now I'm not gonna get to all the complexity of it, because I realized a lot of us was trying to say we understood marketing, but we were becoming champions of truth. I was like, no. If you understand marketing, you must hold a deep truth, but ultimately you have to create myths, which are stories, right? So when you first start your business, it's so easy to think that you make your business great. No, what you built will make the business great. And those people within that team, you can't have a successful team and you have key players, important players, who don't give a fuck or just not that good. You can't have the 6-year running version of the Patriots without Tom Brady. You need somebody that's that serious, that committed, and you can't have the famous Lakers without Kobe Bryant. You can't have the famous Chicago Bulls without Jordan. You need somebody. Yeah, you can have a weaker member here and there. There's someone on the bench you probably can't even remember was with the Bulls. I remember there's one dude I was sitting with when I was hanging out with Baron Davis, and this one dude was sitting next to me. I was like, I've seen your face before. He's been on hella championship teams. He just never gets in the game. But in the end, I was like, I know this dude. I just don't know who he is, but I know this dude. And then one day I saw him in the game. I was like, oh shit, they were showing like an old video, and he came out there, it was like slapping hands at the end of the championship. And I was like, oh shit, I sat next to that dude. He's in all these teams and he ain't never been in the game, right? So you can have members on your team that are not, but your core team, your core business team has to share your passion, has to share your commitment, has to share your love for the customer, has to share the purpose and story that's been built for the company, has to be clear, have to be leaders and innovators in that story and purpose of the company. They can't be robots just completing their tasks. They're not just cod workers. They have to be strategists. And so what happens quite often is I'm thinking of, so because Mashama's making sure these day-to-day operations are going well, I'm looking at, okay, all right, if we improve this will allow us to have faster growth here. If we move our numbers over here, that will allow us to create more installation here. If we make this investment here, that will position us better for next year, because a team that positions well and has the most optionality is the strongest team. That's it. It's not the business that works the hardest. It's not the business with the best product. It's a team that has the most options and is best positioned. That is it. That is 100% it. All that other shit. McDonald's has the best position and the most options. If you want McDonald's right now, I'm sure you know, in your mind, you can close your eye and go, there's one here, there's one there, there's one here, right? Where there's certain restaurants, you're like, man, you remember that burger we had in New York? Yeah, they're losing because they're not well positioned. They're only in New York. There'll never be $1 trillion or a multi-billion-dollar business like McDonald's. They might make decent. The person that's running the business might be happy and comfortable with the money they're making, but they're not competing with McDonald's. Not at all. You even see some other businesses, like if you ask a fast food company, hey, does it matter where you place your restaurants? They tell you it's everything. Right? It's everything. There was a McDonald's in Chicago just said no more. They're shutting down customer. I think they're shutting them down or shutting down customer walk-in because of the violence, right? That means that your business has been compromised by options and positioning. That's a loss. Let's get out of here. That market's no value to us. Yeah. My options and positions are lost. I gotta go.
That's what In-N-Out did on Hagenberg.
Yeah, same thing. In-N-Out did say it's not like In-N-Out. In-N-Out was doing well in business. But that's a dangerous positioning game, and you crippling my options. You're choking my options off. That's not good business. So scaling requires for you to decentralize. All decision making, decentralize. Train other people to make the right decisions, and then your job is to train those people to constantly help them people grow, to constantly invest in those people to the point that they become greater than you at what they do. If you think about it, if you was running your business right now, you only have to focus on one, like sales, like the sales department only. That sales department would be pretty fucking funky. Now imagine if you train a whole bunch of versions of you that only had to focus on one department. That means your company just became more robust. All right, next slide.
Infrastructure investment. Maya decided to invest early in good ovens, refrigerators, and delivery vehicles. even before she knew exactly how big she'd grow. By building a strong foundation ahead of time, she avoided chaos later when thousands of cupcake orders came in.
So let me hit this real quick. Buying cheap shit, low end shit, low quality shit, you can't handle a surge of growth. You will not be able to handle a surge of growth. So in business can, for example, let's say you're moving your positioning, you're working really hard, and then you get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 order plus come in, right? What allows you to be able to handle growth and deal with the impact of scaling is the investments you make up to that point. If you bought the cheapest computers and the cheapest, and everything just cheap, you just went cheap as you could. Right, like just cheap everything. You were like, somebody like, I need a computer. You'd be like, I know they got one at Best Buy on sale right now for $400. Go get that real quick. And all you do is paperwork anyway. Just go get that for me real quick. Those cheap investments, if they get a surge of growth, the chaos and the amount of people you will disappoint and the amount of times you will have, amount of mistakes you will make will be insurmountable. So now the scaling and growth of your business has just compromised your business because you keep buying cheap shit. So in business, it's better to spend slowly and buy the right things than buy a whole bunch of cheap shit that as your business grow, your business can't handle the growth. So now you say, I want to scale? No, you don't, because all the shit in your business is cheap. You obviously don't want to scale. Because if you do scale, your customers will have a horrible experience. Finish reading that slide?
Real world connections. Google invested early in huge data centers and hired skilled employees, knowing they'd need the strong infrastructure to serve billions of people later.
100%. Meta just purchased a nuclear power farm that has no damage to the environment in Chicago for future AI, and it doesn't come online to 2027, right? Even for 510 Media, look at every time when I make investments, I don't buy cheap shit because I realize I need this to stay in business. I need this to be able to handle, and I'm always looking at, okay, for example, the team I have right now, could they handle double the work? Yes. Could they handle triple the work? Yes. If I see double the work happen, I see a movement happen, I have enough room, I have enough runway to be able to hire more people, and the system is strong enough and robust to handle that growth expansion. There's a certain point where you can get to a point where, and even in that process, let's say, okay, let me show you how you can hack it if you're a small business. You can hack it if you're a small business. You start building smart partnerships that can help you with your growth. So for example, one point we picked up a really big contract and we just wasn't strong enough to handle it by ourselves. But we had partners in the industry that were our competitors, but our friends. And we called our friends, hey, listen, can we outsource this to you? We knew their work, we knew their quality. We've been on projects together. We volunteered sometimes. We built a relationship with them. And so then the team collaborated. The customer had an amazing experience because we spearheaded the project. But because of our smart partnership and relationships that we formed behind the scene, it allowed us to be robust enough to handle this Q surge. So you're always working on, even if you don't need partnerships with certain people, you're always working on strong partnerships with strong other members in your industry that may end up becoming an actual real partnership based upon your surge of growth. Hey, you might even hire them one day to become part of your team because your growth is so aggressive. So always making smart investments, smart relationships will allow you to handle surges of growth because it will happen. All growth is not it's not a consistency. It's speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. Now over time it looks like it's going like this, but you're doing this. It's like your heartbeat. Literally, that's how it's happening. Let's go. Next one. This is the Kaja discomfort space. Let's get Kaja uncomfortable.
Feedback and adaptability. Maya listened closely when customers suggested new cupcake flavors or faster deliveries. Mm-hmm. By being flexible and responding to feedback, she could constantly improve her business, making her cupcakes better and better.
So as you grow, your feedback's gonna grow. And to Kaja's credit, you do have to be able to, going back to the earlier principle concept, you got to choose where you make your investment. You can't invest in everything, right? You can't respond to every form of feedback. But if you're not practicing adaptability and feedback, then you're trying to hold on to the business you used to have as opposed to the business you're currently now growing into. And so the only way you're gonna be, and it's the frog in the water is boiling and they die. If you're not listening to feedback, the water is just gonna kill you. The feedback is like, the water's changing and you need to change too. And you won't, if you think you're going to sense it every day, you won't. It'll feel like yesterday. It'll feel like the day before. But when you hear the feedback and you see the numbers and the data, you might think, I'm just going to double down on what I did last week. I just got more customers, so we're going to just double our orders and double our delivery. And because now you have a different brand, different expectations, you're positioned different in the market, you have different expectations from the market. And if you're going to survive, so for example, let's say if you make burgers in West Oakland and they're good burgers, but people kind of got used to like lines and 30-minute waits, like Bake Sale Betty, right? You're like, I'm cool with that, whatever. But then you grow, and now people comparing you to McDonald's, and they want to go in and get a burger and get the burger and go. And you over there going, yeah, but it takes us 30 minutes. Customers like, I don't really have 30 minutes. Now, that depends on what your customer, because you may have a customer that's more like a, what's that burger spot? Barney's. They can wait a little bit longer. But the time now becomes more of a factor than it was before, because as you grew, the people that you're serving have a different rhythm. They're saying, we need that to be supported. And because you say, well, no, this is what I've always done, because you don't listen and you're not adaptable, then what happens is that surge, this happened in the Bake Sale Betty, actually. Huge growth. She didn't listen to customers. She did what she thought she wanted to do. She didn't adapt. She said, this is what I want to do. If y'all don't know if you paid attention to Bake Sale Betty, when it first started, line was around the corner. Drive by there any day now. It's 10, 15 people in line, maybe. Sometimes it's just nobody up there. And it's because she didn't adapt. Bake Sale Betty should be, what's the fried chicken spot that rules right now? On the fast food fried chicken spot. Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
It should be Chick-fil-A of Oakland. It should be like locked. It should have locked Oakland down, right? It should be Chick-fil-A. But what happened is, did that boy say Popeye? Oh, his fat ass. Popeye. Love that chicken with Popeye. but boy, you can tell when there's some hood brothers in the room, right? I love that. I love my brother. But anyway, Chick-fil-A, Bake Sale Betty had the best chicken sandwich in the Bay Area, hands down. But Bake Sale Betty actually received feedback. She did her. She didn't do what the customers asked her for. And so I remember she opened her second location on Broadway, and it was still her expanding her ideas and her approaches. And she still has one of the best, if not the best, chicken sandwich still in the Bay Area, but she won't let her business scale. She's more or less doing what and I asked her one day, I said, how come you don't do these things? Well, this is what I want to do. And this is what I came up with. This is what I feel like how I want to show. I said, okay, well, I'm out. I'm good. Thank you. Next one. Oh, well, did we finish that one? No, we didn't finish that one.
Real world connections. Instagram changed dramatically after users' feedback, evolving from a confusing app into a popular, simple photo sharing app.
That's it. Simple. And once again, that's another sign of simplicity, scale, and fancy fails. Because when they simplified everything, it allows the customers to build a relationship with your business. By you building something fancy, it does not scale because it has a problem with interpretations. Go ahead.
I love this because it's such a different scenario now. I ask for it, people give it. I'm asking deeper questions. It's a complete different experience.
Man, look at this shit here.
Night and day. I just had somebody tear my website, not tear it apart in a bad way, but they just gave me, I'm like this, well, why don't you put this here? Well, this would be better. Well, I don't really understand this. And I'm just writing.
Oh, look at you. What?
So.
Wait, look here. Revolution has been televised.
I'm telling you. But I do have a question about what this looks like. You were giving the example of a food business, and what happens a lot now is people will go to an establishment, they'll have an experience, they won't interact with the business to tell them what they liked or didn't like, but they will put it on social media. So for businesses, is it now your remit to comb social media to get the feedback? Like how would they can
redesign the system of engagement. So there's ways to read customers better. There's ways to extract feedback better. There's a book called Hospitality that talks about how they use different strategies to extract feedback. Feedback is a strategy. Like, as the more you grow into it, it's not just, hey, what do you think? And then somebody's gonna tell you, right? There's different ways, different approaches. There's even studying human behavior and knowing through their action. So, for example, you could tell, damn, they never finished in this plate. Something's wrong, right? Or people don't go, like, for example, I remember somebody in class was selling at their product at festivals. And I asked him, I said, let me ask you a question. How many online orders are you getting? I don't really get that many. That's feedback. That means something sucks. It sucks. Because, 100% sucks. Because if I go home and I'm not looking you up on a website, I got your product, and I'm not ordering this for my friend, you're not that important. Because when you're at a festival, have you ever been if you're at Disneyland and I charge you $4 for a cup of Coke, you could tolerate it because that's Disneyland. Same thing at a festival. When you go to a festival, everybody knows they can charge a little bit extra from these mom and pop poorly ran businesses. And it's part of the cool experience of, I'm gonna go here and buy this jar of jelly for $30. And they talk about how organic it is. But theoretically, there was this old car theory. I think it was Ford. It was Ford. Ford was wanting to build these cars that would last forever. And they realized the market didn't want that. The market wanted cars. They was going to replace them anyway. So market. I think they wanted to sell these cars for, like, say, $7,000 or $700, or $1,000. But then the competitors came out with a car that was less quality for like $300. But that car was easily, I go get another one, I just drive in. When it fails, I go get another. There was a tractor company, actually a tractor, it was a Ford. It's a tractor company. And they realized I can go get another vehicle. When this one fails, I can go get another vehicle within 3 or 4 years, and I'm cool with that. They realized the consumer was comfortable paying a lower price and replacing it over spending a lot of money for something that never breaks, because consumers are not going to stay with that style that long. They were going to replace it at some point, right? You got to look at consumer behavior. So if I'm buying a car mixed with functionality and status, well, it ain't the same status if I'm driving a 1998 Mustang opposed to a 2020 something Mustang, unless it's a special year, right? But I'm saying, like, so at the end of the day, even if you made that 1998 Mustang could run forever, does the market even want it that long, right? If you just say you made a Pinto, it never breaks down. And I can't you right now say, I got this Pinto. That shit is dependable. Fuck you talking about? A fucking Pinto, right? Because it comes down to, you got to understand human behavior. It's not about doing the right thing. It's about aligning with what humans want. So if humans go to a festival and they buy your jelly because they're in a certain emotional space, does it have shelf value? Meaning that it doesn't require for you to, hey, I can do the break dance and you want to buy some jelly? I can't scale that. That's not scalable. What is scalable is I drop that jelly on that shelf and people going, I want to buy that jelly. I don't give a shit what it takes. I'm getting that jam, right? And so what makes that jam? So at some point that jam has to have its own drive. Here's the thing too. There's a difference in all products don't require the same kind of marketing. You don't have to market ketchup the same way you market a unique sauce, because ketchup is already planted in my brain what I'm expecting. So once I get to a certain point, I'm good, right? Like ketchup, if you look at like certain ingredients like vanilla abstract or salt and pepper, you don't see a lot of salt and pepper and vanilla abstract commercials. Because why? They're already locked into a cultural understanding of what that is, right? But if you bring something new to the market, or you go into a very competitive, let's say you're a new salt company amongst the dominant salt companies, and you want to say to the world, my salt is better. The average human being is like, what the fuck is a better salt than the other salt? That means you have to spend money to change that market position. So you decide you want to jump into a market and you're selling salt at a festival, that's bad data. That's bad data. Mm-hmm. That data is not real data. The data you want to know is, if I put this salt on that shelf right now, will that person walk by, look at the other salt, look at my salt, and be like, I'm getting that salt every time. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So I think what I'm thinking as you're saying this is, I don't hear where there's room. Every product is not designed to be Safeway on the shelf. Like there are artisan products because they're designing an artisan experience for a specific customer niche. So where are you fitting that in? I think this is perfect if you're trying to get on a Safeway shelf or a Target shelf. Absolutely. But that's not the ultimate goal of every business.
The thing is that you got to look at what is the volume you're going to need to run your business. And if you scale to a certain point, that me getting a couple of people to purchase it. So let's go back to this cupcakes. If she says she gets to 1,000, but then she has to buy the van and she has to build a staff and she has to get a building to pay for it, she may need to now sell 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 cupcakes. Artisan, when you say artisan, what's your volume level? And so when you talk about volume level, the first thing you should be thinking about is, how do I get my volume up? When you're small, you're already, okay, if you're small, you're already trying to practice low volume, you have no volume, you're living in a space of fear. You're in the wrong game. You have no sales. The only thing you should be thinking about is increasing sales. But if you have no sales, and we're talking about what would it feel like to be in a world with less sales? That's not the business you're in. That's the business you can land in after you've pushed sales. But even then, it still has to be, if you tell me I want to be in the artisan world, and in the artisan world, the volume numbers, like I gotta see the statistics, like how many companies in the artisan world actually are sustainable businesses that can actually grow and maintain themselves, right? That's totally where some of us get into these ideas and they're really passion projects, not business. We're not playing the business game. We're just trying to do business with a passion product, not play the game we're in. It's like me saying, I'm in the NBA and I just want to play, guys. I just want to play. You're not going to be in the NBA for long. The NBA itself is going to be like, your team doesn't even show up good enough for us to even put the camera on you. Get the fuck up out of here. You got to at least try to win.
Can I jump in there too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is in business, the goal is to scale, meaning to grow. So anybody who is intentionally, I question the motives and even the ego of most people who say, "Well, I don't want to be there. I just want to be here." It's I'm getting getting comfortable in low volume of failure, because then that'll keep me from getting my feelings hurt if I don't blow up or if I don't grow. Because most of the time, businesses want to scale and they want to be in Safeway. They want to be in the big box stores. And so, like, to your example, salt. Like, there's a company called Redmond's Real Salt. Redmond's Real Salt will come out and say, "Hey, y'all, all them salts that y'all using got heavy metals in them, and it's fucking you up. Redmond Real Salt, we test our salt. There's no heavy metals." Boom. So all the vegans and overly healthy people have rushed to it. Where can you get it? Amazon. But guess what? You know they're going to want to be in Safeway at some point too. It's not just about, like, artisan is a lane, but artisans want to scale too.
And I do think this is an interesting topic. I think artisans do scale, but what I'm speaking to is the gap between the way we're socializing it, artisan, Safeway, and it doesn't take into account. Like, for example, a lot of places where I see artisans come up is at Google. You go into MK, it's full of artisan products that are not going to ever see a Safeway, but they're in every Google office in San Francisco, Mountain View, Sunnyvale, every state you go, you can open up a drawer and it's all over the place. All the waters and sodas and snacks and all that stuff. So these are people who, if you're just a Safeway shopper, you ain't never gonna see that. But if you are in a place where they're catering to, we want to give a little bit of a higher experience, it's all in your corporate gifting, it's all in these tech company spaces that they have. So I'm just saying, are we leaving that out and just talking about the two extremes?
I wouldn't call that scaling, though. I wouldn't call that scaling. Mm-hmm. That ain't scaling to me. That's I've talked some software company's buyer into taking our product with some reasoning, and they sold it to say, "Hey, why don't you pick us?" That's not that to me. That's not scaling yet. You're in the game, but to me, that's not scaling.
Yeah, the thing is, the thing with artists and businesses is that they don't deal well with fluctuations. The economy's not, like, for example, .com is about to go through a bloodbath with AI. It's gonna be a bloodbath. There's already discussions happening, big conference discussions happening where they're saying the days of big campuses are over, because they're realizing a team of 300 can do what a team of 30,000 can do with AI. This is literally a discussion that's happening behind the scenes. They're saying the chances of the future of them building another Google or Apple campus, that's moving in the future, is not going to be a thing. So then what happens when that market takes another dip? Because go through these dips, right? Those companies end up dying. Artists are very fragile because they die in a spirit. Look at some of the best artists and businesses. If you lived through a few .com, the real estate boom, there were some great artists and businesses that market dipped, where the companies like that Safeway, whether it was the ketchups, the mustards, the breads, those companies did relatively fine because people still had to eat, right? Running a business and this artisan thing is getting to a point where it's like you, and I don't have a problem with the person doing an artisan thing, just understand the cost you're about to pay, right? Where a lot of artisan companies I have seen, if you go to Safeway, there's a lot of artisan companies in Safeway. Because at some point they said, hey, I need to be able to weather the cold, the hot. Look, in business, go back to what I just said earlier. If you don't have a surplus, the business is running you, you're not running the business. You're not making smart decisions. You can't even compete, because at the end of the day, you're making decisions just to stay alive, not compete. Artisans find themselves running niche style businesses that put them in very compromising positions. A lot of artisan businesses also suffer in customer service. I know this personally, because when you go deal with them, you're like, this service is not what I want. There's a cost. Service is a cost. So are you running enough profit margin? Are you running enough efficiency on this other end that allows you to provide a great human experience? But you're so artisan that you're like, oh my God, this waiting shit and all this extra process and all these traditions. I can't. And so people may go with that for a season, but that market, and here's the thing, you don't get this. The market is not you. The market is changing every day. So for example, there's things that I was in the book, when crack was king, there's two things that ended the crack era. But one of them was generation just said, we don't want to do what the older generation did before. There's so many things that die in society because the next generation says, yeah, that's not for me. So things you might be like, that's how it's always been my life. You're now, if you're 30 and this is the way you've been all your whole life, you're already an OG business person. Not OG in age, but OG business person. Because there's a next generation coming along tomorrow that says, we don't do weddings like that. We don't eat like that. We don't go these kind of places. We don't want to sit there like that, like this, right? A business has to navigate all those changes. Do you have enough margin and flexibility in your business to make those adjustments and deal with generational changes or even cultural changes? Niche markets is too, your margins are so, the cost of producing your products is so fucking high. Now here's the thing, I'm gonna be fucked up when I say this. A lot of it's also just bad business because there's ways to hack the process to bring the cost down, but they get to a point there, it's not negotiable for them. Like innovation says, you can innovate cheaper solutions and bring the cost down, but it's like, but you fall in love with this almost like it's like you're shopping at Louis Vuitton, but you're in business, or I have these standards, and if it's not like this, I just can't. If your job is to serve the customer and stop doing you, then your job is to seek out the best process to get the best cost for your customer. Mm-hmm. Period. Otherwise, if that was the case, cell phones would be 5 G's a piece. If there was a company that said, you know what, I'm gonna give people really what they want, it's gonna cost you. So what does cell phone companies have to do? Come with very complex logistics to bring that cost down to deliver you a $5,000 experience for $1,000 to $700 to $600 or whatever that is. And so at the end of the day, and also to have the flexibility to provide for the $500 to the $2,000 phone, right? Depending on the customer. But any of these cell phone companies, if Apple just says, we're only gonna sell $2,000 phones, we're artisans, $2,000 phones, Apple would shrink overnight. Mm-hmm. Their investors would be like, it would be a war at Apple. You'd be like, man, they over there shooting. All right. Mm-hmm. Get the cash flow management. Next one. This is a very strong one here. Go ahead.
Cash flow management. Lastly, Maya learned that managing money was critical. She had to buy ingredients before getting paid for her cupcake.
This is the most important part. So I'm going to say this real quick. Let's say tomorrow, any of our businesses or any business on our mind hits a huge surge of growth. the growth is faster than the money's coming in. So now the cost of growth is more than you have in the bank. And if you keep growing, just say you just keep growing, means you never have money in the bank. You're almost just borrowing and spend. So that in itself, now you have the dependency on the person you're borrowing from or your sources of money. And that if that group decides for whatever reason to pivot and go somewhere else, your growth is compromised. If the banks don't fuck with you, your growth is compromised because you don't have enough loose capital. If equipment breaks in your business, you can't get it fixed because you ain't got no money coming in, because as soon as the money comes in, it's already going back out because your growth is faster than the amount of money you have saved. So your cash flow, if it's off, especially in the early stages, what Court has to manage in the early stages is hella complex. They're going to get a point where he gets a surplus, and that surplus then gives him competitive edge to make moves in a market that his competitors can't make because they're stuck in the cash flow cycle, right? So growth doesn't mean, oh, I grow, I can satisfy the customers, and I just keep buying more and growing. I'm doing good, and I got this big profits on the side. No, your growth can get so far in front of the amount of cash you have that your business is running broke to the point you have to close your business. Isn't that crazy? Have your brain just thought about that your growth can close your business? Fast growth can actually close your business. That's like your brain doesn't equate that equation. Go ahead. Can you finish reading this one?
Mm-hmm. She carefully watched her expenses, making sure she always had enough money for supplies, rent, and paying her team. She knew even the most popular businesses could fail if they didn't manage their money wisely.
100%. Keep going.
Real-world connection. Users grew quickly, but had to Uber grew quickly, but had to carefully manage their cash flow, often needing investment money to cover early expenses until they earned enough to sustain themselves.
Is that crazy? So there's this point where you can be like, oh, man, Uber's blowing up. And then dude tell you, we're broke right now. You're like, what the fuck you mean you're broke? Because they haven't earned enough money where they have their own savings to cover their expenses. And also, too, those relationships can take your business from you. If you start to get over invested in those relationships, you get away shares, before you know, you fuck around and realize you own the least, like that they can get together and vote your ass out of your own business. This has happened many times. You'll find that you get a paycheck, but they ain't your business no more because you got caught in this cash flow cycle. Keep going. Next slide.
Maya's cupcake adventures showed her and can show you that scaling a business isn't just about making things bigger. It's about solving new challenges, building strong systems, staying flexible, and managing resources carefully. By understanding these important ideas, anyone can grow from baking a few cupcakes at home to building a successful business that serves thousands, even millions of happy customers.
Next slide. So here's a couple of just some things that are honorable mentions that are part of scaling that's very important. Keep going. Let's roll through these as fast as we can. We might stop. We might stop early.
Know your unit economics. Mm-hmm. Don't scale a money loser. Mm-hmm. Cost to acquire a customer, CAC. Lifetime value of customers, LVT. Gross margins per unit. If your margins are thin or negative, scaling will just drain faster. So
that's basically we talked about that earlier, which is know your units of economics. And it means that what is the cost of acquiring your customers? Lifetime value of a customer. That's another one that people don't understand. What is the lifetime? If you get a customer that's locked in, what's their lifetime value? So even though they just spent $20 at your business, the lifetime value might be $3,000, right? And if you don't know that and you treat them like a $20 customer, you might be fucking up because you understand the lifetime value of a customer. Gross margins per unit. I mean, what's your margins of profit every time you sell a unit? And a lot of times, once again, this is poorly calculated. Your growth can actually destroy you because your margins are so bad. Go ahead, next slide.
Mm-hmm. Build a scalable culture.
Mm-hmm.
Your team must grow as fast as your sales. Scaling isn't just about revenue, it's about people.
Come on.
Hire people who can lead others, not just do tasks. Mm-hmm. Communicate values, not just goals. Protect your culture or lose your identity.
Those last two are so cool. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Communicate your values, not just your goals. What do we value? Not just, my goal is, we gotta hit these numbers, and then we want to be the largest. We want to have impact. We want to know, but why? Who are we? What do we stand for? And the last one, protect your culture or lose your identity. That's fire. Next slide. I'm gonna write through all these. These are honorable mentions.
Automate where possible, humanize where necessary.
This is game. This is such a cold one here. Go ahead, read this one.
Use tech to scale, but keep the human touch.
Mm-hmm.
Automate repetitive tasks, follow-ups, and onboarding, but don't automate relationships. Scale connections, not just opportunities.
So-
Operations.
Any place where your business has strong human engagement, don't become addicted to automation. Automation with a strong human interaction can actually destroy your business. You know how old school sales used to sell? Like back in the days, how they used to sell to you? We're talking about big, like B2B sales, business to business sales. A businessman will walk into your business and he would just sit down with you and have a cigar or a drink and just keep talking about life until you said, let's do business. That's it. He wouldn't even mention the business. He'd just sit down and just spend time with you. And you'd be like, what's that product you selling right now? Send me 4 or 5 orders. That's how they would sell. So a lot of times we forget that model is still a thing. Most of your clients, you can lose a client really, really quick if there's not a human that's there to read the client in every conversation. A client could tell you in a subtle, movement of their head, they didn't like something, or they wasn't completely pleased, but they're going to go ahead and accept it. And it's an opportunity for you to show up and serve them even at a higher level. But if you automate that process, you miss those cues to serve your customer. So be careful on these touch points when you're engaging people to automate so much to the point that you lose the human touch. You're not making money without scaling the human touch is not a good business. It's you leaving so much room. All you're doing is creating another business model for your competitors to take and then destroy you with. So even though you're innovating for somebody else, not for you. Next slide.
Know when to say.
Oh my God. This is the one that I swear to God, I don't think nobody knows this one. This is the one that people believe in when they get real emotional, but they can't follow this one. Go ahead.
Scale focus, not distraction.
Scale your focus, not distraction. Scale your focus, not. That means, you know how you scale your focus, say not distraction? When motherfuckers ask you to do shit, you know what you just say? No. You want to do this? No. We'll go over here? No. Why? Because you're trying to protect your focus time. If you let your brain fall into the victimization of distractions by responding to as you scale, you listen to all these things and you're saying yes and yes and yes, and you're going to give talks, you're going over here, and you're going to lunch here, you're going to dinner, you're going to this event here, you're going to this other here. Guess what you don't have? You have no focus. You trash. Your business sucks. Because as you scale, you can't grow with the complexity of scaling because you say yes too much. Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Saying yes to everything, new markets, new features, new customers kills focus. Scale depth before breadth.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Nana, can I just real quick give a shout out to somebody?
Yeah, go ahead.
You gave a dope ass story about cupcakes and how she started from one cupcake. There's a sister from Oakland who did that. She has 7 locations now. One in Atlanta, from Oakland, has 2 in Oakland, 2 in Berkeley, 1 in San Francisco, I think at Pier 1 now.
Oh, nice.
She's grown, and we started around the same time. So her company's called Cupcaking.
Yeah. We all, yeah.
Walnut Creek too.
Yeah.
So she's what you described.
Yes.
She's done it, and I just want to give her a shout out.
That's all tight. That's all tight. I'm proud of that sister too, by the way. We were just talking about how I was proud of that business because to this day it's a go-to for our family for special events. Mm-hmm. Like we go get a cake and then we go get 20, 30 cupcakes from them. And we passed, especially during COVID, there was the business of the year because, you couldn't blow on a cake because everybody was sensitive. So cupcaking was the psh. And that red velvet, I don't eat red velvet, but everybody loves that red velvet. Oh my God.
Good.
Everybody loves it red
Hella
velvet.
good.
Yeah.
But she's sister started with me. We did like some cohorts together.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of her business, and she did her
That's
thing.
super
So,
tight. That's super tight. Okay, so pause this next phrase statement. It says, better to serve 1,000 customers deeply than 10,000 shallowly, right? I did pause myself before I said that because I don't want no shit from y'all, right?
Better you than
But that's actually true. If in business, when you scale, sometimes we get to scaling and then we become more shallow with our customers, right? Now I realize that as we become shallow with our customers, we're actually losing market share because we're too damn shallow. It's more important that we take those 1,000 customers and focus on how we can better serve them and better align and better see them and run a better business for them, which then allows us to qualify us to be a better business for the next 10,000. So saying no is the way you scale. If you say yes to everything, being busy is not scaling. Being busy is not scaling. Being busy is saying no to scaling. So if you think you're always busy and you think that's a good thing, you just said no to scaling. And don't be surprised 5 years from now, you look at your bank account, it just only grew with the natural. So if the economy grew, if the cost of living went up 5%, your account only went up 5%. Because at the end of the day, you being busy, you thought you replaced being busy, feeling good, feeling like you're doing things with business growth. But business growth requires, look, I was talking to Pastor Chris today. God took a day off. God took a day off.
On the seventh day he rested.
If you have a business problem and you're constantly just hammering yourself trying to solve the problem, you're the worst solution maker in the world. Do you know, like there's been cases, and there's so many cases of so many people telling these stories where major problem happens, business is collapsing, business is about to end, and a person goes away for 5 days and comes back. What you'll do in 5 days? They realized that when they came back for 5 days, they were able to make better decisions. The argument was the business experienced a major slip, and in those 5 days they were able to create solutions that were just as aggressive as the fall. So then it offset the fall within 3 to 5 years, right? But if you just quickly respond, most of your quick responses are poor strategical decisions. So knowing how to say in scaling to use time to your favor, go back to court, I hate him sometimes, but using time to your favor, knowing how to engage and disengage, but that disengage doesn't mean, going back to what Court was saying earlier, you're smoking weed in a room by yourself. Is you're creating space for your brain to solve the problem by taking your mind off the problem. You go on a long hike, all of a sudden your brain goes, I know what to do. Call this person, I'll move this over here. But if you're in the problem every day and you're just running your business every day and you're working really hard, you're missing so many strategical opportunities. It's ridiculous. So it's important to create the space to stop and think and do things that have nothing to do with your business so you can become a better business leader. Is that crazy? Like, because in scaling, you think working hard is scaling. No, working hard is flatlining. You're literally flatlining. You're not growing at all. You think you're growing because you feel, it gives you a sense of, because I'm working hard, I feel like I'm putting this hard work in, so I'm getting a return from my hard work. And I do see progress, so I feel like, no, you're not making progress. Because a business is not ran by hard labor, it's ran by smart decision making. Thoughts trump hard work all day long. Your ability to think and make good decisions will trump hard work all damn day. I can go to my house right now and start. I do this. Let's give you a small example. This is a very small example, but it really scales as you get bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's say you decide to work in your house, right? And you put work in. And you're painting. You're trying to reframe a wall. You're trying to run some electrical. You've been on this shit for 3 or 4 days. And then you hire this one dude for $2,000. He does this shit in 2 or 3 hours. You ask yourself. But you didn't think about that dude because when you was in it, he's like, okay, well, I got this thing open. I'm gonna go back to Home Depot. I gotta get this certain kind of wood because it requires this kind of framing. And you gotta think like, oh shit, I'm gonna need a certain measuring tool. I'm gonna need a certain piece of metal so my framing has support. And then I'm gonna need this. And you just caught in this loop. And now you're busy trying to complete a task that if you just step back and thought to yourself, like, wait a minute, if I'm spending 3 days and this cat only asked me for $2,000 and I'm worth $5,000 a day, why the fuck if I'm taking half a day of work for me and turn it into 3 days and I'm now working at $20 an hour damn near the level that I'm working at? What does this make any fucking sense? So number 2, or do I need it tomorrow? Can I delay this decision so I can save the money so I can get this other person to do the fucking job so I can have my time back. But if you in the midst of it, you can just become addicted with, I saw this problem, so I can solve that problem. I saw that problem. I saw this. It's almost like you caught in this. It's almost like you caught in this maze, and now you feel the only way I'm gonna get out of it is just keep walking forward. As opposed to I'm telling you, like, no, just climb the fuck out the top of the maze, sit back and look at the maze for a little while and go, oh, let me just pull that part out. That's causing all the fucking problems. It's just that simple. It's literally that. I can't begin to tell you, like, creating space have made me more strategical than when I'm on the front line. Yeah, you'll have these highlighted smart things you'll say, these cool things you do. And it doesn't mean that you can't ever go into your business and work within your business. But when you make that decision, it's because something crazy has just went wrong and you realize, I'm gonna work in this business because I need to get rid of this whole department. They're trash. I'm gonna take over this lead right now and I'm gonna start changing these people out and get people who understand the way that I want it ran. And then once it's ran like that, I'm back out again. But you getting back in and then get used to it and be like, I should have never left. Okay, it's trash. Okay, next one.
Prepare your infrastructure. Growth reveals weakness.
But say it again. Say that phrase in itself.
Growth reveals weakness.
Yeah, hear that phrase? Growth will reveal your weaknesses. So you don't get to grow. Like, I don't give a fuck how strong you think you are. A lot of times you don't even feel you're strong because you ain't grown. When you grow, you realize, oh shit, I'm weak here, I'm weak there. Growth will reveal your weakness in every area in your life. If you go physically start working out right now and you become stronger, you'll find out what areas are weak really fast. If let's say you got your chest muscle really strong, but you ain't been developing your shoulders, you'll find out real soon you can't keep bench pressing. Right? Let you work on squatting and you ain't been taking care of your hips or your core. You'll find out really quick. Let's say you decide you want to start jogging right now and you haven't been working on your calves. You're going to find out really quick. Growth reveals weakness. This is very important to understand this. Keep going.
Can your website handle 10 times traffic?
So have you signed up for a website that's so fancy and so sexy, but if the traffic went up tomorrow, they can't even order shit? Like literally, that's why I signed up. Like when I meet a new business, I'm like, yo, sign up for this Squarespace. That's already designed for scaling, but it doesn't do everything I want. Fuck everything you want to do. Can you deliver the product and protect the marketing and brand promise? If you can, that can scale with you. If you scale on your partner building you a website, and you have to call him up and he comes through and he hooks your shit up, that's a problem. Right? Or if you scale because you built it on Squarespace, but nobody in your group understands Squarespace or have time to even manage Squarespace, that's a problem. You want to be able to scale and be able to make easy tweaks and handle the traffic that will hit your website, as opposed to like, damn, on a bad server system and I didn't know this many people's going to scale and somebody hacked my site and then I had to call my partner. He's on vacation on a cruise with his wife. So shit, man, I'm just fucked up. No. Design your system for scaling. Keep going.
Can your staff handle 3 times the orders?
Which I talked about that earlier. My staff can handle 3 times the order. Go ahead.
Can your CRM manage 1,000 new leads?
So our software, we had to jump to Notion because that's one of the things that we discovered is like, this shit's not gonna scale well. The way that we were running stuff, we had this organic way of communicating and spreadsheets and emails. And otherwise, it's like, yeah, I'm too many people asking questions, not scalable. Keep going.
Can your infrastructure upgrades should precede scaling, not react to it.
So you should try to make sure your infrastructure is a step in front of your scaling. Wherever you are today, your infrastructure should be able to handle 3 times stronger. If it can't, you got work to do. Next slide.
Design for decentralization.
We kind of went over this one. Just read it real fast.
Don't be the bottleneck. Build a business that can operate without you. Delegate decisions. Empower frontline workers. Use dashboards for visibility, not control.
Between the two of us, we talked about the control thing, right? Like the more you realize you're not in control and that you're designing the business where the people that come in your business should make your business greater than you can even imagine, because the people exceed your personal qualifications, because all you need to focus on is one area, right? Where if everybody in your business this is so easy to do because we love to be the best, part of our ego. So then you hire somebody and be like, yeah, he's good at designs, or he's good at cooking, or he's good at training, but he ain't as good as me. That's a problem. I need everybody in this room to be better than me. I need everybody in this room because that's not my skill value no more. My value is running this company, not designing, not taking photos, not strategic designing, strategy work. It's my job is to run this company, and I need you guys to smoke me in this area. Then when I sit down with you guys, you feel like a council. I'm sitting down with the council discussing our business, and you guys can say, well, in the food department or in the service department or in the hospitality department, this is what we think, and that would help me enrich my ability to run this company. But if I have to own all those areas every day to run those businesses, I'm going to be mediocre because I'm I'm too distracted. I'm just too distracted. Next one.
Measure what matters.
Mm-hmm.
Scale isn't not just size.
No, scale insights.
I'm sorry. I need my readers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you. Sorry. Scale insight, not just size.
This is so important, people. Listen, this is so fucking important. Go ahead.
Track metrics tied to value creations, not vanity.
So let me quick. That's so cold. It says track metrics tied to value creation, not vanity. You know how hard that is for a lot of people, especially our people who don't feel like they're good enough. A lot of times you will get caught into like, man, people love, and I have the best sauce, the best burgers, the best service, the best business, and I know my customers love me. That's vanity. That ain't got to do with metrics of what the customer wants. Listen, customers want. If a customer goes like, hey, I need to use your restroom, but man, you got that little shower in there? They just told you your showers are inefficient. Now you can get offended, be like, oh, they're gonna call my shower little shower because you on some low level human being shit. As an entrepreneur, you can say, oh, thank you for that insight. That's what I needed. Or if somebody comes to your space and they walk around something to get to something else, they just gave you some insights. If somebody says, man, something in here smells, they gave you some insights. Mm-hmm. Everything they do, they're giving you insights all the time. But a lot of times, because we're so fucking vain, we only hear what we want to hear. We're not hearing the customer give us insights all the time. Mm-hmm. That shit is such. Measure what matters, and often what destroys your ability to see what matters is your fucking vanity. Mm-hmm. Keep going. No, same slide. Go back, man. What you doing? You thinking about Popeyes? Go ahead.
Customer retention.
Yes, you got to gain insights on why are we losing customers, why are we gaining customers. You need to know why, not just people come to my business because I'm doing a good job. That's not why. Why? If once you understand why, these insights this is the key word is insights. Keep going.
Referral rate.
Why are people referring our business?
Cost per acquisition.
What is the cost? What is the cost? Like why does it cost? Can I bring it down? Can I raise it? What is that cost of acquisition? What can I be doing better in these areas? Go ahead.
Time to profitability.
So for the time that I engage you, how long will it take for me to achieve a profit off of this particular unit? That is so freaking important because a lot of times vanity will blind all that shit. Next slide. We're flowing through these last slides. We got a few left. Go ahead.
Protect the core as you grow. Mm-hmm. Scale with your mission intact. Mm-hmm. Rapid growth often dilutes your brand message, product quality, community engagement. Make sure new team members, systems, and decisions align with your original purpose.
So as your business starts to grow, dilution is attacking your business is becoming diluted quickly. So you have to fight to keep your business enriched. That means you have to even push harder with your messaging. You got to find different ways to push your value system, your belief system, your culture. You have to create events to reinforce your. You have to create sessions and you have to create all these different things that reinforce this messaging. Otherwise, don't think that if me, Court, Kaja and Shakina was running a company and we were doing a great job and we hired everybody else in this room, don't think when it gets to 100 people, there's people even give a fuck about what we think. We got to push that hard. Otherwise, they're going to come and bring their previous job experiences to our environment. And that's the worst shit in the world when somebody try to run the previous company in your office, which means that they're weakening and diluting your brand. Keep going. Next slide.
Things that make you say, or that don't make sense.
Okay. This is actually the last two slides. Game. Next time you see something in society and you say, what the fuck is that? Oh, that don't make no sense. That's defensive. You say, what do you mean it's defensive? Okay. Turn it to a question mark. And you'd be surprised. A lot of things that you don't like is insights. I'm learning this in the last few years. I haven't mastered this one. I've gotten way better. I'm talking about, I think I went from 0 to 70, right? I got 30 more to go because sometimes I'm like, what the fuck? Right? But what I do is I still give myself permission to say, what the fuck? But then I say, turn it into a question mark. Because what you'll find is that just because it's not logical to you, what happens is, okay, what defense does is it makes your world make sense and it shuts out everybody else's world. Guess what that's called? It's called ignorance. That's what it is, just ignorance. Growth is understanding why other people do what they do, because that's where opportunities lie for you as a business. So even though Kasha may do this that I don't make any sense to me, I need to eventually understand her, because then she may open my eyes to a whole other market my product is perfectly aligned with, or our opportunities that's right in front of me that I didn't know existed. A lot of times the reason we can't see business opportunities, or we're not very good in being innovative, is because we're too busy being defensive and protecting what we think and what we believe. What you think and what you believe is just for you and your experiences, for your personal survival. It's not how the world works. So when I say to myself, so a lot of times I'll seeing things in society, I go, that didn't make no fucking sense. Or even when you say, that's what stupid what Trump said, and that's stupid what Biden did. Don't even play that dumbass game. Sit back and go, why did they do that? What is it I can't see that they can see? What did they experience I did not experience? What culture out there lives like that I don't live like? And you'll be surprised that behind every that doesn't make sense and every moment of there's a whole nother level of knowledge that will give you choices. It will increase your optionality like you never imagined before. So every time you try to reject everybody because it doesn't make sense to you, you're trapping yourself by your own ignorance. This is when defensive thinking runs amok on you. So learn to think past and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't mean give yourself permission to say that's some stupid shit, but in your mind, turn it into a question mark. Don't turn it into don't automatically sentence the idea or the act to being stupid. Once you sentence it to being you the only person to become jailed, not that person. So what you want to do is say to yourself, that's stupid, because that's probably how you was raised, right? That's part of our culture. That doesn't make any sense. But then flip it and say, I'm gonna leave that as a question mark. Here's the thing: when you leave something a question mark in your brain will automatically try to figure out, is this the pattern? Is this the only person? Why they did? Like when you leave mysteries in your brain will, on its own, in its free time, try to solve those mysteries. And then all of a sudden, as you solve those mysteries, you become more and more and more intelligent. I'm in Oakland. I'll give you an example. And I'm watching East Oakland deteriorate. What the fuck? What's up with East Oakland? So in my brain, I'm writing a story. This is happening in East Oakland. This is where East Oakland's going. This is the potentials of East Oakland. But I'm watching these white people move in, right? And then I'm making my assumptions. And then one day, white person tells my wife, hey, let's go to Laura's Ice Cream on Seminary. My wife says, fuck no. I'm going with you there. And she says, you go to that Laura's Ice Cream? He says, yeah, I go to Laura's Ice Cream. And you gotta go to Laura's Ice Cream. That's probably the ugliest Laura's ice cream of all Laura's ice creams, right? The windows are dirty. It's like, you always wonder, like, is that shit really open? But he says, I'm going. She said, what do you mean? He says, I refuse to let anybody tell me how to act in my city. This white guy. Meaning that if that culture continues to grow, East Oakland is no longer East Oakland, right? Meaning that what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and what he's possibly creating has nothing to do with my trajectories and the way I see the world and the way the world's happening. So if I'm trapped in my world, I'm going to miss. So let's say, for example, seminary, every time a house sells a seminary, white people are buying those houses. I'm not sure if you're paying attention to that. It's crazy. So as I'm tripping on my thoughts and my story that's locking in my mythology, then I see a house over here. I tell my wife, sell that house. Fuck this. Get this house over here. As opposed to like, yo, can we pull some equity and get this next house over here, live in that house and rent this house out? Because maybe 10 years from now, that house has dramatically changed its value because the culture surrounds it, because Oakland's already a primary real estate, has changed, and now this house has doubled in real estate value but I lost that opportunity to exploit that value because I was so busy focusing on my story, and I lost the ability to see the options, right? So when you're able to see other people's ways of thinking, you start saying, oh, that's a trend, that's a trend, that's a trend. And if I want to exploit those trends, I know exactly how to position myself to take advantage of a possible trend that's brewing in my community. But when I'm walking around, I'm trying to be so self-intelligent, so self-righteous, I'm also trapping myself to old business practices that no longer exist. I don't see old ideas that's been gone. I don't see this new generation. I don't see different cultural trends. I don't see new behavior that's rising right in my midst. I'm always shocked by life. I'm never saying, yeah, I saw that coming. Yeah, I saw that coming. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is an interesting point because I feel like way back yesteryear in Hope, early on, I remember saying something along the lines of like being in certain areas of Oakland, and everybody looked at me crazy, like, why are you over there? But I think a lot of times this is what happens, right? Especially when people are in a place that they have historical roots. Like, I didn't have those roots here. You stop going places because the story you associate with being there, and you don't realize that it's 15 years later, the there is not the there you remember. I just was talking to somebody about being in West Oakland, and they were like, I ain't going to West Oakland. And I'm like, well, I was at Prescott Market, and they don't know that whole area is being revitalized. So by the time you get onto it, you can't get it anymore. This is why I was saying we cannot, let me not say we. This is why I was saying I don't like to let socioeconomic conditions keep me out of being in certain areas. If I want to be in a hood, I'm going to be in a hood.
I'm still not going to Lowe's Ice Cream.
Why, though?
Fuck what you heard.
Like, why? Why?
Look, Corey's more gangster than me. And this cat over here, Jasani, his family's real. And I'm telling you right now, let me tell you what I'm saying. I agree with you. I'm not challenging your premise. Let me be very clear, okay? And I think there's opportunities. But also, too, I'm going, all opportunities have to be tested. There's no yes either way. Let me be very clear. Even when you challenge a bad business idea and you want to taste it and you think there's a better methodology, it still has to be tested. Now, the cost of that test for some of us is like, okay, it's just a little too much. Number two is also, too, it's like my thing is that I can make that observation and still not hang out in that area. I can drive through real quickly and get up and out. For example, the highest car accidents in Oakland is on East 14th. It's on East 14th. I told my wife when my child was born, don't you ever take my child past East 14th. And it's not because she's a bad driver. She's an amazing driver. When we travel, if we drive in the car, which I hate doing, but if we drive a long distance, I tell her, can you drive? Because I hate driving, right? It's not her I'm worried about. And I've been on East 14th, and them cats don't give a. I took my car to get I had a hole in my tire, my last BMW. I took it down there to get a hole replaced because that was the closest place to my house, and I really didn't want to drive it far with the nail in my tire. So I go down to East 14th. I'm at the shop. They're taking a nail on my tire. I can't tell you how many cats was doing 100, running lights, driving in the middle between both lanes. I'm sitting there going, man, fuck this shit. So. Yeah, you might be right yesterday, but I need to test that first. And I'm not still going to Lowe's Ice Cream because that area is motherfucking real. Matter of fact, I used to get gas at that gas station there on East 40, on MacArthur and Seminary. I don't even stop my car to get gas over there no more because I used to back in the days.
Hell no.
No. Because you know why? I'm the kind of cat that I would have robbed. like that. I look at me like, yeah, I would have robbed you. No. And the thing is this, okay, now can I carry my own, but at what expense? Like lose my business, be in jail because I killed the dude, or I get shot. Like either way it goes, I don't win. So when I did the math equation, I'm like, okay, do I need this moment? Nah. Now, but if I decided I wanted to run a business in East Oakland, would I measure and would I take that in consideration? I think I would totally. So I totally agree with your premise. I'm not arguing that. And I think that sometimes the advantage of not being growing up here is that you don't carry the traumas that from this area. Mm-hmm. I think we both have different arguments, and I'm not challenging your argument. I'm saying that I have a different argument because I watched enough shit die to the point I like, just like if you like, when I go to, what city I went to, it had me scared as fuck in that hood. I think it was either Compton, someplace I went. I was like, no, I went to Sunnydale in San Francisco. And I said, man, if y'all don't get me the fuck up out of here, dude put a gun on me because I was just looking around. He's like, what the fuck you looking around? Put a gun on me. What the fuck are you do? Who the fuck you are? I said, no, I work for a company. We're trying to bring health. Oh, man, goddamn. I'm like, how the fuck am I here making money and getting guns put on me? Oh, fuck. Sunnydale, that hood right there, I've never been back, and I'm never going back. Them cats are motherfucking, until that community wakes up and realize they somebody, as long as they live in the path of death, I don't give a fuck if somebody from Sunnydale going, it ain't all that bad. Cool, I'll talk to you and see if you can run the business, but I'm not going there no more. I'm not doing Sunnydale. Last slide. Let's hit this last slide real quick. This is next week class. I'm going to give you just a teaser. Just read this last paragraph to you. This is a teaser for next week. Next week we're going to get into. So this was scaling. What we did tonight was went over the basics of scaling. I'll make sure that Sydney post and share this. So if you guys want to review this to kind of audit, like where are you and how are you thinking about your business? These things you have to own if you're talking about growing. Now, if you're just trying to maintain your business and hope the guy you don't die and hope destiny just provides you a couple more years, then fucking ignore this whole thing. But if you're trying to grow, your growth is survival in business. Business is a victim of entropy. If you ain't growing it, it's deteriorating and it's dying. It's just that simple. Business has to grow for basic survival. Now, this is the coldest one. I can't wait to teach this. This is about system science. And it says, you think that because you understand one, you must understand two. Because 1 and 1 makes 2. But you forget that you must also understand and. Now, I know this sounds like I'm on some old pimp shit. And sometimes I might be, you understand me? But I'm not. Handle this diversity, y'all.
Somebody come get him.
What I'm suggesting to you is this. There's a layer to business. It's this middle sector of the how things work and why they work that we don't discuss. There's so many assumptions in this place. So a lot of times you say 1 + 1 = 2. You assume plus and. Or 1 and 1 = 2. You assume the and. Now realize you need to understand the and. And the and can be changed. If you don't understand the and you don't understand the variations of the and, then a lot of times this space of assumption doesn't give you room to innovate your business. And if you don't have the ability to innovate your business, you're a poor competitor. If you ever watch a high-level coach, they're finding the ands to manipulate, to change their position in the game, to win the game. Number 2, there's a difference between being in business and the game of business. And so a lot of times we talk about business and you're running business without agency. If you understand business, the game of business is running business and understanding the agency of a business. So a lot of times we play business. Go to the last slide. Just go to the last slide. We don't know how to look beyond the players to the rules of the game. We think business is about the players. You think basketball is about the players. You think baseball is about the players. You think football is about the players. But I can replace the players and it's still the game. And once you understand that, it changes the whole perception. So we're going to get into system. When I say 5-10-year practice of system science, I'm going to give you guys an introduction to system thinking and system thoughts. And I'm not doing this so I can make y'all philosophically deep, even though this next class is going to feel very philosophical. But what it's going to do is teach you how to play the game more than just do business within the game. And I'm going to show you why this is a problem, because doing the George Floyd and all these fucking nonprofits was trying to advise you on what is business. They were teaching you business, not the game of business. And so the reason I saw a lot of black people who are suffering right now, a lot of us are suffering. We have failed, we have collapsed, we have lost. Some of us feel like we're stuck in a dark square where there's no windows. And it's because we were just doing business. And if we understood the game, we would have won. And one of the reasons that I would always caution and say, don't do this and do that, because I understand the game of business as opposed to just doing business. There's a big fucking difference. It's a difference between being a player and running the game. It's two different things. You could be losing in a game, but be well positioned to win in the game and still be a winner. It's a difference between You could be doing bad in business and be doing great in the game, and meaning that in the end you're going to be great. Or you could be doing great in business and being bad in the game, and in the end you're going to lose. This shit's going to be so cold that if you don't see the game, you can get caught into illusion that you're doing a amazing job. And this is really long-term thinking over short-term thinking. So next week, it's going to be very philosophical. We're going to have fun with this one. I made it through all the slides, and look forward to the slides. Last thing is we got a new website up. A lot of you guys who have businesses are posted on the website. Go through the website, Fight to Media Hope Foundation website. If you don't see your business, send us the information, email us the information, and then we can get your business up there on the website. Now, you have to be on with Hope more than 6 months for us to put you on the website. If you've only been with Hope for like a week or two, I'm not going to put your business on our website. So you have to you have to be part of the family, because part of this website is celebrating those who are actually putting the work in. Pastor Chris and Shakina, they got lip gloss on. Anyway, with that being said, y'all have a good night. Out. Got it.